So I'm ready to install the new timing chain, and I got a new chain tensioner rubbing block too. Now you can't put this rubbing block on with the chain already on. You have to put it on first. So you've got the spring and the little piston on the end. So I slide that in there, which can be fun, and try to get it to go in the little hole there. There it goes. Now when you put the rubbing block on, make sure the curve on the block is pointing this direction. So I slide that on over the pin. There we go. And then now you can see I've got another problem because the block is going to be right up against the sprocket, so I can't put the chain in. So what I like to use is a long nose set of vice grips, and I preset that so that we'll hold it all the way back. There. Now I can work on getting the chain in. So I'm going to install the little snap ring that holds that rubbing block arm, and I just can push that on with my finger, and that'll make sure that arm doesn't pop off while I'm installing the chain. Getting the timing chain on can be a bit frustrating, but the way I do it is I take a small screwdriver and I catch it in the open link, so I can slide the chain up and over the crankshaft sprocket, and I have to make sure I get it to come up past. Yep, slipped out on me. That's part of the frustration. I have to make sure I get it to come up past the arm, and then I can snake it up and over by feeding it a little and pulling, and keep doing that. And I want to bring it over to where I can hook it up on the cam sprocket. So keep working your way, feeding a little chain there. Now, I'm on the cam sprocket, but I have to be sure that the point here for alignment on the cam lines right up with the tooth here on the crankshaft sprocket. And there you go. Whoops, it shifted on me. I think I'm going to pull it just a little bit further. Maybe one more tooth here. Okay, now I'm going to realign it. Here's the paint mark on the camshaft sprocket. That's the paint mark on the crankshaft sprocket. And I just lay it down here like that. Then I pull the other side of the chain around the camshaft sprocket. And then here's the open end, and I use the old master link to hold it together, and I just slide it in from the front like that. So, using my flashlight, I'm verifying that the painted tooth on the crankshaft sprocket is right across from the dot on the camshaft sprocket. So that means the tooth on the crankshaft is pointing at a valley on the camshaft. And this is the little trick I showed you with the master link pushed in. Now I'm going to put a new master link in, but I'm using this right now just to help hold the chain together. Now before I put the master link together, there's a hole in the engine block right here, and sometimes the fish clip will go springing away from you, and I don't want it to accidentally drop into the engine. So I put a little bit of blue shop towel in just to plug up that hole. Now the new master link has to come in from the back, and there's no way to get it to come in along this area because it bumps into the engine block. So what I need to do is rotate the engine and get this link somewhere in about here, and then I can put that master link in. So I'm going to rotate the engine. Be careful here. Okay, so now it's right about where I want it, right about here. Now what I do is take a thin, long nose, needle nose plier to grab the master link, the new one, so I can get it to come in from behind, and then I pull it in. Again, a little bit of frustration. I try to pull it in to the pins, and when I get that right, it'll push the old master link out. But you just have to kind of keep working at it to get it to go. Okay, you can see that I've got the new one coming in from the back, and the old one's going to slide out. There we go. Now, before I put the fish plate on, I'm going to rotate the engine the other way so that this clip can't fall out. Okay, here's the master link, and it's backed up back there by part of the bearing carrier. So I need to put the plate on, and I'm going to put my little screwdriver back behind the master link so it's fully extended, and then I can snap the plate in. There. Okay, now the fish clip has to go in a certain orientation, and the chain is going to be moving, or I shouldn't say the chain, but the crankshaft moves in clockwise. So that means on this side the chain is moving in this direction, and that means that the fish, which is the fish clip, is going to swim downstream, which means the head of the clip has to go this way, so it's swimming downstream. So I slide it in like that, and then I take my needle nose and snap the clip down on the pin, and this too can be fiddly. Almost. There it goes. Now the next thing I want to be sure of is that I absolutely have the crankshaft mark and the camshaft mark still across from each other. So I'm going to rotate the engine back until I see top dead center, and then I'm going to verify that the paint mark here on the cam is right across from the paint mark on the tooth on the crankshaft sprocket, and that's the case. So I've got the chain installed, and I can let go of the cam chain tensioner. So I removed the vice grip so the tensioner is tight on the chain, and now I need to put the rubbing block on. And again, the rubbing block has a sort of rounded edge here on the rubber, so that's the side that's going to point at me. And there's these two flat washers, big ones, that go on. So I'm going to get that on, and then just put the wave washer and the nut on just loosely to hold things on there. There we go. And then the bolt and the big washer, I need to get that. So I'm going to run the bolt through, catch the washer, and then catch the hole, except I forgot to put the wave washer on the bolt. So let's do that. Wave washer on the bolt. There we go. Big flat washer, and we catch it, and then there we go. So now you'll see that this has some slack, and all I need to do is just have it touch the chain. I don't need to put a lot of pressure on that. I just want it to just touch the chain as a rubbing block. And then I'll torque the nut and the bolt to the proper specification. Now I torque these to 18 foot-pounds. There we go. And check it again. Good. Okay, now the next step will be to put the inner timing cover on, but before I'll do that, I'm going to lubricate the chain, the sprocket, and the nose bearing so that on first engine start there's oil on all those surfaces. This little tube up here is the oil high pressure relief valve, and when the oil pressure comes up, it opens and drips oil all over this assembly. So that doesn't happen for a little bit when you first start the engine. So I want to make sure everything's well lubricated for the first engine start. And don't forget to remove the little bit of shop towel you had stuffed in that hole in the engine before you put the inner timing cover on.